And I don't really look at it as a points thing because when it comes down to it, you got to beat the best guys to win this uh, championship to begin with. So I'm sure the guys who got the finishes in the first round and got the 6 points are happy, but we still have another fight coming up in 6 weeks, and then we have the postseason in October. So there's still a lot. There's still a lot of fighting to be had this year. So I'm happy to get the second round finish against a really tough guy, somebody who came up from 135 to step into this 145-pound weight class, which is it's a Shark Tank. So much respect to Bekbulat, and I wish him the best in the next fight. But it was a great test for me. Somebody who's 19-1 makes a lot of his fights look pretty easy, honestly. And no matter the weight class, 35, 45, 55, all those weights, anybody can go any weight class and compete. And he proved that tonight. He was a tough opponent and gave me a decent look. So it was good to go out and get the finish, though, and kind of show him what it's like to be up at this weight class.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah,
third is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm happy to get the second round finish, and like I said before in the media, is that I just want to go get the finishes, keep the injuries to a minimum, because in the past I've had 2 hand surgeries and things that have kept me out for an extended period of time, and I just want to stay healthy and keep fighting. So that's a win for me. Obviously I want to win the fights, and I want to put on good performances and get the finish. And getting the finish was off the checklist, and coming out without an injury that's off the checklist. So now I get to go home, relax for a few days, and then get right back to it because we don't have much time till the next one.
Moving forward for your next bout, would you be paying any attention to the scoring and the positions where everyone's at, or are you just focused on just getting the W?
It definitely plays a part because they're gonna seed everyone based off of the scoring, but also everybody has different matchups for the next fight. So it's gonna be some of the guys that may have gotten 6 points this time may only get 3 points the next one, or may have a tough fight or lose. You never know. MMA is such a crazy sport that you're not guaranteed anything. And like we saw tonight, Steven Seiler, he's one tough son of a gun. I mean, he took a nice combo and took some nice punches on the ground and came back and ended up getting a triangle submission. So anything is possible in this sport. So anybody who comes away from a win tonight and is just floating on air, they're in the wrong sport, because the next fight is only 6 weeks out. You got to put your nose back down to the grindstone and get ready for the next one.
Right at the beginning of the card, there was tons of finishes. Everybody was racking up 6 points. Were you thinking in your mind, oh man, I got to go out there and get 6 points as well? Did that play a factor at all?
Yeah, when we first got here, because the main card got here a little later than that, and everybody was saying, oh, there's already 4 finishes on the card. And it plays in your head a little bit, but once you kind of get warmed up, get loose, start focusing on your own fight, all that stuff goes away. Obviously, I wanted to get a first round finish, and it would have been great, but I was in there, I was patient, not worried about what anybody else was doing. I can only control what I can do, So when it comes down to it, it was when you walk in the building and hear everybody's getting first round finishes, you're like, all right, here we go. We got to rush it, but no reason to rush it. Go in there, get the finishes, because all those guys that are getting first round finishes, that's great, but they got to fight me eventually.
This is the first time you fight, I guess, in a format like this. Did that extra wrinkle with the points? Did that change anything around? How'd you feel? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. It was more, like I said, in wrestling, when you're wrestling in a structure where you're going to have a few matches in a day, or you're going to have like dual meet style where you wrestle a bunch of different things in one night. It was cool to see all of our guys in this weight class fight in one night. You get a look at each matchup a little bit, right? Because everybody's different matchups. If somebody could get a finish against a guy and then someone else go against him and have a great fight with him, because matchups and styles make matchups. So it was exciting to get to see some of them. Obviously, I was focused on my own fight, so I didn't get to watch, but I have it all recorded at home. So I'll probably go this weekend and just take a look at everybody's fights and, see what we have next. I don't know when we're going to find out who we have next.
And lastly for me, we talked earlier in the week, and you told me this was your first training camp outside of Team Alpha Male. Now that everything has wrapped up, you got the W. How would you assess your experience training outside of Team Alpha Male and with the result and the outcome?
I think it was great. It's hard to tell one fight or one performance because I went out there and did what I had planned to do since the beginning of my career is go out, get finishes, get the takedown, and get the win. But it was more than anything, it was cool to see guys like Chris Holdsworth texting me and say, "Hey, we had your, because tonight's no-gi practice at Team Alpha Male 6 to 7:30, and they had my fight up on the big screen in the gym while they're practicing. So it's cool to see there's no love lost and everybody's cool. And I always leave the door open for myself to go back there and help guys out. I always leave the door open for them to come to Vegas and train with me. And like I said, everybody says it's a family at Alpha Male, and that's how I feel. They're always going to be family to me.
Lance, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
One of those guys in the division is Alejandro de Almeida, and he actually told me earlier that he really wants that rubber match with you, but he wants it for the PFL championship at the end of the year. What are your thoughts on that, and is that something you've been looking at as well?
I haven't really looked at one matchup or the other. I mean, for me, I feel like I won both the fights that we've had so far. The first fight was a decision that didn't go my way, but I felt I was more dominant in that fight than the second fight where I did get the win. So it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, we've had great fights. I think our styles match up to where it's a fun fight, but it's this postseason. It's all going to depend on where we get seated, where we end up, and I mean, obviously, I respect the guy a lot. We spent 50 minutes in the cage together over the two fights, and I think that fight and the Harrison fight are obviously, the Harrison fight would be nice.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that next. I guess you didn't get to watch his performance yet tonight.
A little bit. I saw a couple rounds.
What did you think of what you saw?
I thought he looked great. He looked composed. He took his time just like I did in my fight. There's no rush, and I'm sure he said the same thing. It's not all about the points. You got to go out and get the win. And to be the best in this postseason coming up, you have to get the wins in this regular season. So whether it's a finish or just a win, it's the same thing. You got to win all the fights. It's not you have to finish all the fights to win the $1 million. You have to win all the fights. So I thought he looked composed. I saw the first round or the second round. I can't remember which one. I thought he had a few opportunities to finish and he didn't get the finish, but that guy seemed tough. So we'll see.
Lance, your opponent, Magomedov, was a very good wrestler. It's not often guys come out wrestling you. Is that something you had to adjust with, being on the defense in the wrestling?
That was awesome. I thought I was going to have trouble and he was going to stay away and try and make me close the distance. But right when he started wrestling me, I was like, thank you. It was amazing. He got a over-under against the cage. I just took my time against the cage. I set up my own stuff, and I was actually glad that he did that because none of us, even my coaches, were like, can you believe he tried to wrestle you? I was like, heck yeah. I hope they all try to wrestle me.
Yeah, that arm drag of the second round.
We just drilled that against the wall with my coach right before, and he was like, dude, you almost bounced my head off the wall. And I was like, it was perfect. We drilled that this morning in the shakeout. It's not something I do in training a lot, but I felt that it was going to be there because I felt that if he was going to do anything, he's a sambo guy, so he'd go body lock or over-under position, and it was there, so.
Anybody who knows your story knows, you're an All-American wrestler. Before that, you're one of the most decorated wrestlers in high school history. There was a documentary about your wrestling.
Yep.
I know they don't want to call it a tournament, they want to call it a season.
Yeah.
Being from a wrestling season where you wrestle to get seeds and then have a grueling, Ohio State tournament, stuff like that, do you think that gives you an advantage that you've kind of already experienced something like this before?
I definitely think it gives me an advantage, and whether or not it's regular season, postseason, championship, to me, it's all leading up to that final thing. And so leading up to that final is the same thing for me. I take it one fight at a time, just like I took wrestling one match at a time. My dad would always tell me we'd get the brackets when we got to the tournament. We wrestled at national tournaments all over the country since I was 9 years old. And he would say, don't worry about who you got in the finals. If you're worried about that guy, you're not going to make it there because you focus on your first match. A lot of the upsets at the NCAA tournament happen in the first round because those guys think they're just going to roll through. And so take it one fight at a time. And it's a great format. I think it's going to change the game. So we'll just buckle up and check it out.
You're one of the favorites in this season. Favorite is Andre. He was the champion of the World Series fighting when they switched over to PFL. You already mentioned his name. So obviously he's on your mind. He's someone you're gonna be gunning for. What would you have to do different in the rematch?
Not break my hand in the first 2 minutes of the fight. I think that honestly, there's no excuses because that's something I can't control. And when it comes down to it, I feel that there was a lot of good things that I wasn't able to do, whether it's striking wise or grappling wise, because of the injury to my hand early in the fight. But he's a great opponent. He's somebody that I'm looking forward to getting another fight with, but obviously not looking past anybody else. And I think both of us are going to make each other better by having each other in this season. So I'm excited for it. And, I have a feeling we're not going to fight early on. So I'm just going to, enjoy his fights. Hopefully he enjoys my fights and we come together at the end.
My last question for you. You win $1 million one night. What do people talk about more? You winning $1 million in one night or you wrestling that pet bear?
I don't know. I think it's both of them are a little different to compare, but I think that's always something.
Which is crazier, winning $1 million in one night or
crazier
wrestling that grizzly bear?
I guess if you like to the lay person, wrestling the bear is way crazier than winning $1 million in one night. But for me, the $1 million is definitely. It's gonna help a lot of things for my family, me and my wife, obviously. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. But I'm not looking past each matchup either. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But you gotta focus on what's in front of you too.
Go ahead, dude.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, huh?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.